you been absent for these few days?
I have been sick.
Did you go and visit the doctor?
No, because I'm still thinking whether should I go to see a shaman, a traditional healer, or a witch doctor.
What about you?
Which doctor will you choose?
Have you ever wondered, what if healing isn't just about hospitals and pills? What if some people found healing through spirits, rituals, and ancient traditions that has been passed down through generations? Across the world, even today, people turn to shamans, witch doctors, and even traditional healers. And no, this isn't fought for. These figures play a powerful role in many communities, offering hope, wisdom, and a sense of spiritual balance that modern medicine cannot provide. So first of all, let's begin with shaman. Shaman is a part of a healer, spiritual guide, and also a prophet. Shamans are powerful figures in many indigenous cultures. They don't just treat the body, they aim to heal our soul. Using rituals, spirit guides, feathers, and even dramatic movements, shaman works to draw out the disease and restores the patient's spirit. Even today, people visit shamans for emotional pain, mental stress, and also spiritual cleaning. It's not just healing, it's a transformation. Next up, the witch doctors. Sounds mysterious, right? But witch doctors isn't just the characters from the story that we all know. They are spiritual protectors, believed to resist curses, detect hidden harm, and even heal the body. But not just the body, it's our soul too. In many African communities, they serve as doctors, priests, and counselors all in once. When someone believes that their illness is caused by bad energy, ancestral anger, or spiritual punishment, they don't go to the hospital. They go to witch doctors. Using herbs, sacred items, and rituals, these healers restores harmony between the body and also the unseen world. Last but not least is the traditional healer. These are the categories where they use the wisdom of nature, such as herbs, massages, prayers, and also the communication with ancestors. In places where modern healthcare is out of reach, traditional healers are often the first and only option. But it's not just about access. Many people still find them. Why? Because they treat our whole person, the body, the mind, and also the spirit. Even modern hospitals nowadays will blend traditional healing in their care, especially in areas like mental illness and also chronic disease. So, why do people still believe in these healers when they are full of hospital, apps, and also medicine? Because healing is not just the symptoms. It's about the faith, the connection, and also the meaning of it. For some, illness is the spiritual imbalance. For others, it's the weight of ancestral pain or emotional trauma. When modern medicine doesn't work or feels so cold, people turn to what feels familiar, sacred, and deeply human.
How do major world religions differentiate faith healing from shamanism?
Faith-based healing involves spiritual practices rooted in belief system, such as prayer, meditation, or recitation of sacred texts. It's about connecting with the divine through established religious paths. On the other hand, shamanic healing involves a healer or shamans entering altered state of consciousness to interact with the spiritual world. These practices are often seen as mystical, controversial, and sometimes even forbidden by organized religions. In Islam, healing through Quran recitation is known as Ruqyah. It is a faith-based practice grounded in the Islamic teaching of Quran and Sunnah. But if a healer claims a supernatural knowledge not derived from Islamic sources, or suggests an action that are against Islamic beliefs, this becomes problematic.
One of the examples is when shamans ask someone to cancel their marriage merely because they feel the couple is not compatible.
Christianity emphasizes that the healing through the faith in God and the power of Holy Spirit.
Soga.
In Bible, Mark chapter 16, verse 18 states that they will place their hand on sick people and they will get well. However, Christianity strictly condemns with practice like divination, spirit communication, or witchcraft. These are all common in shamanism. Deuteronomy chapter 18 states that these practices are detestable to the Lord. Hinduism embraces a wide range of healing traditions like yoga, Ayurveda, or bhajans, which is the devotional songs. These practices are rooted in sacred texts like Vedas or Upanishads. While Hinduism culture has folk practice that resemble shamanism, any healing method that falls outside the scripture or relies on superstition are not considered as Hindu spiritual healing. It is the scriptural foundation that separates between genuine faith-based healing from shamanism. In Buddhism, healing comes through Noble Eightfold Path, a guide to end suffering. Practice like right mindfulness and right concentration helps to cultivate mental clarity and peace. Shamanic healing, which may involve in spirit possession or delusion, is seen as contradictory to Buddhist teaching if it encourages attachment and violates moral conduct.
In short, healing in Buddhism must be grounded in awareness, morality, and wisdom, not mysticism.
Now, I will briefly share some philosophical perspective on healing practices, focusing on moral relativism, deontology, utilitarianism, and virtue ethics. Firstly, moral relativism teaches us that every culture defines its own standards of right and wrong. For example, visiting a Bomoh, which is a traditional healer in Malaysia, is viewed as normal and acceptable in some communities, but it may be seen as superstitious elsewhere. This idea supports Malaysia's national education philosophy, which reminds us to respect our multicultural society. Secondly, deontology is about doing what is morally right regardless of the outcome. The philosopher Immanuel Kant said that we must follow moral duties honestly. So, a healer must genuinely help people, not deceive them for profit. For example, it is wrong that if a shaman tells a cancer patient to stop medical treatment and causes harm. Thirdly, utilitarianism says that we should do what brings the greatest happiness for the most people. Shamanic healing can comfort people, especially where hospitals are far away. However, if a ritual causes harm, like using dangerous herbs, then it becomes unacceptable from a utilitarian view. Finally, ritual ethics focuses on the healer's character. People trust healers because they are kind, honest, and wise. This connects to the Rukun Negara and the national education philosophy, which encourage us to be spiritually and morally balanced.
Imagine your brain has a self button. During trance, that button gets temporarily switched off. This explains why people feel spirits' connections. It's biology. So, spirits aren't real? The feeling is real. I think that it is just like how placebo works. Different religions see shamanism in different ways. Let's break it down simply. In Islam, communicating with spirits is prohibited. It is called haram. But healing through Quranic verses, ruqyah, is not only allowed, it is encouraged. The Quran clearly states, we are sent down healing for believers. Most Christians say shamanism is like witchcraft, dangerous. But some churches believe in miracle healings through prayer alone. It is all about who are you asking for help, God or spirits. Does Buddhism accept spirit healing? It depends. Tibetan Buddhists say yes with spirit guides. Others say no, as they think that meditation is the only path. Ever drink turmeric milk when sick? That's Hinduism Ayurveda in actions. They have mixed natural remedies, yoga, and spiritual practice for thousands of years. See, one healing question, many answers. However, many river, one ocean. All this healing practice flows into the same sea of well-being. Traditional healing has real value. It respects ancient wisdom, calms anxiety, and brings communities together. But there are risks too. Some fake healers trick people, others delay life-saving care, and fear can turn violent. The solution? Smart balance. South Africa licenses traditional healers. Brazil studies ayahuasca safely. Good rules keep the wisdom while stopping harm. When we respect traditions and science, everyone heals better. I had pain. Doctors say no problem. A bomber say curse and pray. I felt better. Was it the prayer or just believing? Both. Stress wasn't pain, and ritual reduced stress. True healing doesn't choose sides. Science explains it. Faith strengthens it. Traditional rules it. The wisest healer, they use every tool in the toolbox. To scientists, study these traditions. They are wisdom in centuries of practice. And to everyone, different path to a same destination. Respect all approach, reject exploitation, and recover together. When we heal together, we heal better.
Cultural healing practices like shamanism
Herbal rituals and prayer-based healing have existed for centuries, but how are they viewed through the lenses of major religions?
In Islam, healing is deeply rooted in faith. The Quran is seen as the ultimate sources of healing. Practices involving shamans or witch doctors are rejected, especially those involving jinn or violating Tawhid, the oneness of God. Islam warns believers not to seek treatment from sources beyond Allah, and it is considered spiritually dangerous. Similarly, evangelical Christianity views shamanistic healing as illegitimate. Although they may acknowledge the effectiveness of herbs, any healing not from God is considered a false miracle, a deception from Satan. These practices are morally wrong, even if they appear to work. Buddhism, on the other hand, takes a more neutral stance. It accepts that some shamanistic methods may bring benefits, but also consider it as false path, as it may distract from true enlightenment. As long as these practices does not bring anyone, it is tolerated, but not fully endorsed. Hinduism embraces culture healing more openly. With shy roots in nature worship and rituals, practices such as puja, mantras, and offerings are seen as the legitimate path to purification and spiritual connection. Similar to Buddhism, it is acceptable as long as no malice or harm is involved.
So, while some religions firmly reject cultural healing as illegitimate, others acknowledge or partially accept it, but always through the lenses of faith, morality, and alignment with spiritual truth.
When seen through philosophical lenses, cultural healing raises different questions about legitimacy, harm, and moral reasoning.
Utilitarianism supports practices that maximize happiness and well-being. Shamans often restore community harmony and also emotional healing. But when the methods causes harm and also delay proper medical care, then it is ethically unacceptable. Egoism, on the other hand, focuses on self-interest. Shamans may gain power, resources, and also respect. From the view of egoism, they are morally justified because it benefits them. Virtue ethics emphasizes on character and compassion. Healer that acts with empathy, undergo training, and genuinely care for patients reflects virtue. These acts are praiseworthy, although it's not scientific. The ontology stress on duty and intention. A healing practice is only ethical if it respects the patient's right and is based on honesty and consent. Exploiting desperate patients with false promise would violate the moral framework.
Philosophy doesn't ask if these practices are simply true or superstition. It asks, are they just? Are they harmful? Are they done with virtue, honesty, and respect?
Now, what do religions say about this? Religions like Christianity and Islam often reject shamanism and witchcraft because they just view it as spiritual danger. But Buddhism and Hinduism are more open to it, especially when these practices don't cause any harm. This shows us that what one culture sees as healing, others might see it as just superstition. So, who decides what's right? And that is where moral philosophy steps in. Think about it. If a healing ritual brings peace to someone, does that make it morally right? Utilitarianism says yes, because it reduces suffering. Deontology says we must follow moral rules no matter what's the outcome. Virtue ethics, it cares more about the intentions and the character of the healer, whether they are kind, sincere, or honest. And moral relativism reminds us what's right in one culture might be wrong in another, and that is okay. So, in the end, healing is more than just science. It's culture, it's spirit, and it's storytelling. Shamans, witch doctors, and traditional healers offer more than just cures. They offer meaning, and in a world full of division, they remind us that belief, tradition, and community still matter. So, before we judge, let's take a step back and listen. Thank you for watching.